I was just called by the head people at Sprint, and they're going to be bringing 5,000 jobs back to the United States. They're taking them from other countries. They're bringing them back to the United States. And Massa and some other people were very much involved in that, so I want to thank them. And also OneWeb, a new company, is going to be hiring 3,000 people, so that's very exciting.
So President-elect Trump is keeping his promise to help bring jobs back to the United States, announcing the addition of 8,000 more jobs to the country. We covered that yesterday. But joining me now is Presidential Transition Team Executive Committee member Anthony Scaramucci. Good to have you here. Before we get into the details, you know, we've got the boisterous Donald Trump and the brazen, perhaps, President Obama, although I shouldn't, use adjectives. Do they get along, or is there kind of a...
Well, I think it's an early stage in their relationship. I mean, they've probably spent a total of 90 minutes to 2 hours together, and they've been on the phone a few times. But I think what happens, and you and I were talking about this at the break, I think these guys get together because they realize the heat of the job and the intensity. Richard Nixon said it was a very lonely job, and you've got there'll be 5 people now living presidents once President Obama leaves office. I think there's a connectivity between all of them, and I think there's a level of solidarity once you see all the stuff,
Because that is one exclusive club.
I'll just point this out. I had President Bush at my SALT conference a few years ago. He said something to the 2,000 people. He says, I don't care what your resume looks like, you're not prepared for the job. He said the first real intense briefing that he got was on January 21st. And it changed the color of his face. And I think what ends up happening is these guys get bonded. They love the country. Now, obviously, they're ideologically different.
Yes.
But they love the country, and they think they have the best intentions for the country. They're just going to go about it differently.
So let's talk about good intentions and bringing jobs back to the United States as one of those. It's the latest in a string of announcements by the president-elect about jobs coming back to the U.S. He hasn't even officially taken office yet. So can we expect more of this? And I know that critics say he shouldn't be meddling with private enterprise. But on the other hand, I can't recall in the last 20, 25 years when a president was so actively involved in standing up for American workers.
I think it's a fabulous thing. I find it really puzzling that guys on the left that are for the American worker or for the working class people are upset with President-elect Trump advocating on their behalf and trying to get their wages up and trying to secure manufacturing jobs and other types of jobs, Adam. So I can't understand that. No one will be able to explain it to me. But here's what I'll say about the president-elect, which I absolutely love. He has a personal commitment to this. He loves people, and I think what the American people are going to discover once he becomes the president for everybody, that he loves people, and he loves seeing people do well. He loves the people around him doing well. He props up everybody's success. He's been unbelievably gracious to me and my family, and he looks out for people. And I think this is something that the American people are really going to enjoy once he's the president of the United States.
And I think I'm going to ask you if this is a possibility, because I witness among my family and friends that what I think might be they're underestimating the president-elect, because he does things so differently than the way the establishment in the country has for the last 60, 70 years. And they equate that with ignorance. But I don't think this man is ignorant at all. I think he gets things done in a way that nobody in Washington has had to get things done for decades.
And I watch him in these meetings. It's almost like you see this antenna come out of his head, and he can read people in the meeting in a way that is just fascinating to watch. And he's incredibly savvy, and he's got very, very good judgment on things. And he's also a risk taker. He's got a lot of guts. And so, he wants peace in the Middle East. And so he'll put things on the table that people didn't think of before. He's a disruptive, entrepreneurial person. He's also very adaptive. So you tell him what the rules are, and if the game gets jumbled a little bit, he's the kind of guy that'll step back from it and look at it, put the puzzle pieces back together.
He's flexible. He can adapt.
Yeah, well, he had to do that in his business career, Winston Churchill once said when he was 65 and became Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, he said, all of the ups and downs of my life have now prepared me for this job. And I feel that way about President-elect Trump. He's had rising tide in his business, a lowering tide, and then success again. He's really had the process of that instill a lot of confidence, but also a lot of flexibility and adaptability in his personality.
If I had a British accent, I would say the ruling class doth protest too much because they've been thrown out of power.
For now, quietly, they're actually secretly saying, wow, this is going to be great. There's going to be growth The economy's going to grow. The consumption cycle is going to start again, Adam. There will be a big opportunity for America to feel good about itself again. And he's already doing that. Look at the consumer confidence numbers.
Right, record high in 15 years.
Yeah, and even the professional economists and the pundits that don't like Mr. President-elect, they have to give him credit for it. And so I love that. I love that about it.
And that's where we will end this discussion. Anthony Scaramucci, thank you very much. Happy New Year.